friends, welcome to the channel. In this video, I will tell you how to take notes in class in the proper way so that the notes are actually useful to you and not just a random string of writings that you never go back to. At the end of the video, I will also share how to use this method using my favorite note-taking app, Notion. If you are new here, my name is Refat. I'm a lecturer based in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and on this channel, I share my journey with studying, law, and productivity. We all have to or want to take notes in class. However, often we just keep on writing what we hear without any proper structure, and as a result, we end up with a string of writings that is unconnected and sometimes irrelevant. Even if we want to, it becomes harder for us to go back to our notes to get any real value out of it. There are many ways to take notes. It's helpful to try out different methods and determine which work best for you in different situations. Whether you are learning online or in person, the physical act of writing can help you remember better than just listening or reading. If you are taking notes properly, it not only makes you actively engaged in class, you can later also use these notes to revise or gain a comprehensive understanding of the lecture. An interesting study found that students who reviewed their own notes outperformed students who reviewed notes given to them by their teacher. Several interesting studies have found that students who make their own notes learned more than those who typed them. One style of note-taking has recently started gaining more and more attention: the Cornell note-taking method. In the 1940s, Cornell professor Walter Pock developed this new note-taking system to give college students a better way to organize, condense, and intake knowledge. It's proven as an incredibly effective learning tool. Furthermore, it requires very little preparation, which makes it ideal for note-taking in a classroom. Here's how you do it. Preparation. To use the Cornell note-taking method, you need to first divide the page into 3 or 4 sections. There can be an optional small section at the top of the page for the title, and there should be a similarly sized space at the bottom where you can summarize the notes. The rest of the page should be divided into 2 vertical columns, with the left-hand column taking up around 30% of the width. This is the Q column, and the right-hand column taking up the remaining 70%, and this is the column where you take your notes. Having successfully divided the page, you can now use the Cornell note-taking method in class and make your notes useful by following these 6 steps. Step number 1. Taking notes. You should use the right-hand column to take notes during the class. You should ensure that these notes are concise and that you are not simply writing down exactly what the teacher says, but instead summarizing the most important concepts in your own words. This helps ensure that you are deeply thinking about the topic. Step number 2. Ask questions. As soon as you are done taking notes, you should write questions or cues surrounding the subject matter in the left-hand column. Writing questions is an important part of this strategy as it forces you to really consider the information you have learned. Writing questions help to clarify meanings, reveal relationships, establish continuity, and strengthen memory. In addition, writing questions sets up a perfect stage for subsequent analysis later. You should also use this column to record any important keywords or equations. Step 3. Summarize. After each lesson or class, you should summarize the key takeaways from each lecture in the row at the bottom of the page. This allows you to take another look at the material before you forget about it, and to engage with it more deeply by figuring out the most important pieces of information. Step 4. Practice. When revising, you can cover the right-hand column and try to formulate answers to the questions and recall the subject matter related to the keywords or equations written in the left-hand column. This is active recall in play, which makes your brain actively seek the information. This also ensures that what you learn, you are able to retain that in your memory for longer term. Step 5. Reflect. You should take some time to reflect on the taught material by questioning yourself. This is an important part of the process as it helps you to focus on and interact with the material, leading to the formation of stronger connections, hence making the information easier to retrieve at a later date. For example, you can ask yourself, what's the significance of these facts? How can I apply them? What principles are they based on? How do they fit in the context that I already know? What's beyond them? And many more. Step 6. Review. Finally, you should take time each week to review the notes, as this helps to refresh and consolidate what you learn. Research has proven that if you want to really learn information, reviewing the notes a little but often is much more effective than reviewing a lot of information all at once. That is simply how you can use the Cornell note-taking method in class and then revise afterwards. But why should you use this method? Because research shows that using this particular method can improve your academic performance. Also, using this method, the learning is active rather than passive. When you write down word for word what a teacher says, you become fixated with that and do not pay adequate attention to the main points of the lesson. But the Cornell note-taking method forces you to consider taught information. Furthermore, using the Cornell note-taking method gives you a structure which you can use to organize the notes. This means that when you revise, you don't have to spend valuable time searching for or rewriting information. Additionally, if you write relevant questions at the end of each lesson, it gives you a set of ready-made questions that you can use to test yourself when revising. This strategy strengthens memory traces and increases the likelihood that information will be cemented in your long-term memory. Students sometimes think they need to write every single thing the professor said. If this is you, be careful. If you focus on capturing every single detail, you might be missing the big picture. If you mostly listen during class and don't write much down, you need to be careful too, because when it's time to use your notes, you may find that you don't have much to work with. Although different strategies work for different people, efficient note-taking strategies share some common features. You are making good notes if it includes meaningful abbreviations and symbols. It captures both main ideas and important details. It may include definitions, an outline, bullet points, diagrams, etc. There's no one good way to take notes, and knowing what works best for you in different situations will make your studying more effective. Overall, good notes are not necessarily very detailed or very brief. The main thing to remember is that good notes are notes that are useful to you. So keep experimenting until you end up with something that is working like magic for you. The Cornell note-taking method seems really interesting. However, as usual, I tend to do most things using my most favorite app, Notion. It's quite easy to take Cornell notes using their default Cornell note-taking template. I will also link this template down in the video description so that you can duplicate it in your Notion workspace. I have also made a video on how I use Notion to organize my notes and how I created an automated timetable for revision. I will also link that down in the video description. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, you can show your support by pressing the like button below. Don't forget to subscribe for more contents like this one. I have also made this playlist for you with some effective study tips. Thanks for watching. See you later.